Welcome to the All About Ability podcast. Yes, I nailed it. We've had a wee bit of a break the past few months, but we're back and we're ready to go again. And I'm really looking forward to the next few weeks of podcast. We're going to be back every Tuesday, 5 o'clock. Make sure to like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. And we're going to have some good content coming your way, so stay tuned. I don't really like stairs, so I don't really go to buildings like that much. You know what I mean? But that's just, I couldn't relate, you know what I mean? You need to do one with ramps. Anyway, no, I feel like that's what you need when you start with, I guess, with Twitter. It's like you always start with a wheelchair joke because that's what makes them comfortable. What makes them comfortable. No, but the man, the myth, the legend, Paul Doc, here in person. It's good to have you here, mate.
Cheers, thanks for having us.
And you know, with my guess, I'd like to go back to the start. So,
yes,
going right back to the start. Why do you think that dinosaurs existed but dragons didn't? I don't get it.
Not a clue. I was not prepared for that one.
Exactly. I took mushrooms before this. That's why I've started with that kind of thing, because my brain's all over the place. Just so you don't know. But no, mate. I've been watching your clips and your wee videos, and I was just howling at them all night last night.
Aye.
And all I was thinking was, this guy is absolutely fried. He's lost it. You're like Foxy's big brother. That's like the two of you are so alike. It's weird.
Foxy.
Aye,
Foxy. Aye, Dan Foxy.
The two of you are, like, the kind of humour you've got are so alike. But
I love him, man. He's amazing. So good.
We tried to do it together, the two of you, but it was mission impossible, man. It was just not. It was impossible to get two people at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
But watching your videos, man, all I was thinking was, how did somebody even come up with half of these ideas? Like, where does this comedy process for you actually come from? Because you've developed this huge sort of fan base on Twitter, and there's a lot of females with a lot of things to say, so we'll get into that later on. But I'm just curious as to how your mind actually works. I want to know more about what's happening in the mind of Paul Doc when he's coming up with these weird sketches all the time. What's happening
here? Well, originally when I was making them, I used to do them just like Snapchat for my pals and stuff like that. But the process kind of behind them was, originally I made them all to be made as animations, because I went to art school up in Dundee, so I was like making all these videos, just being like, I'll edit these and I'll turn them into, like, I'll put animation stuff over them, and I'll just use my mouth, the way my mouth's moving, as cues for it all, and I'll just use that as a sound for it. But then just didn't end up getting round to it, and I was like, you know, I'll just stick them up kind of thing. But so originally the characters were supposed to just be kind of silly. So I think when you have that in mind, you're kind of thinking the character can be anything. I can say whatever kind of thing. I can do something daft that doesn't necessarily need to be real or whatever. But aye.
It was like you've got that kind of creative freedom to just do whatever you feel like doing.
Aye.
That's the beauty of Twitter, isn't it, really?
Mm-hmm.
There was one I was watching that you posted recently. It's like the guy, the ugliest guy you know, or something like that. It's like, if you don't shag it, I'll shag it. And I was like, I know at least two people that are exactly like that. Like, any time that I've been chatting up my bud, and you're like, if you don't shag it, I'll shag it. And you're like, no, you won't. Look at you. Fucking say it, you, man. Anyway, no, but there was just so much of it that's like very much relatable, and it's very much like you seem to be very in tune with what people find funny, and like kind of Glasgow, sort of Scotland part, if you like. And there was a lot of kind of, I see a lot of people that say, like, especially when you talk about like relationships and lasses and stuff, you always seem to say the right thing, where a lot of lasses are like, that's spot on, that's exactly right. And I'm always like, how do you know, like, how do you even come up with the actual, when you're thinking about like these ideas of talking about lasses and that, where you're talking to them, and I'm curious as to how you get it so relatable all the time. Like, are you just out there slaying it? Is that what's happening? What's going on with that?
No, I think it's just like
I'm just looking for tips, mate. That's all I'm looking for here. Help a guy out. You know what I mean?
I think it's just when you're like talking to lassies about these things, a lot of lassies have a lot of kind of I don't know, funny or interesting stories to tell about these things, and that kind of like that thing we were saying about that type of guy, things like that. Sometimes you see that type of guy, and that's kind of like something that I don't know if you chat to like your lassie pals about, they'll tell you about the type of folk or whatever kind of thing. So you can sometimes get kind of quite, I don't know, daft insights into that kind of stuff about it kind of thing. But I don't know.
I was talking to Shannon Daly about it, and I'm sure you know her. She was on a podcast, and she made the point in saying that like women are actually really funny, but because white men rule the world, it's like that doesn't. We don't get the same opportunities because she's got this like the same sort of pattern, the same idea of like. 'Cause I think one of the big things about it is you're actually looking at it from the point of view of not a misogynistic sort of thing. It's actually like a light-hearted sort of making fun of these characters that are kind of got this bad idea of women, but you seem to have this sort of way of putting it where people find it really relatable. I keep coming back to that because every time I see you post something, I'm always like, this guy seems to get it on the money every time, even when it's just something so light-hearted. But to totally change subjects,
what's coming next?
Exactly. I think Kyogo was onside, man. I don't care what anyone says, man. Kyogo was onside. You need to even level with the ball. He's level with the ball. You know what I mean?
Mate, I literally just got off the train there and I was sending my bra all the clips, like there's the Hearts boy that filmed it for the angle, and there's one of the Celtic podcasts, they'd done a thing where they'd put lines up on the field and stuff like that. And I think the thing is, I think there's people out there that firstly don't get the, as you're saying, need to be level with the ball. Level with the ball is fine, it doesn't matter what the defenders are. As well as, I don't think some people get perspective. Like, I don't think they realise that the pitch is going to look small. People are going to look smaller further away. They don't seem to understand that that's the way the angle goes and things like that. But, aye.
It's completely, because I think, actually, there's so much made about being ahead of the defence, right? When you look at it, he's definitely ahead of the defence, right? Nobody's questioning that. We're not saying he's not, but it's forgetting about the other side of the rule, which is if he's level with the ball, he's onside. Do you know what I mean? It's so I don't like. I've been going through this, looking through the replies and stuff, trying to figure out what the thought process on all this is, and I think you've hit it on the head there. It's totally just a lack of understanding with the actual rule of it, you know, and I think it's also got something to do with the fact that the scorer was Kyogo, and there's this weird sort of, not to get too serious here, right, but it just seems like this is like everyone was fine with him, and then he went to Ibrox and there was a lot of problems and he got a bit of racial abuse, and since they got kind of done for that, it just seems like he's been the sort of target since that. I mean, because even there was a thing with John Suter, because I'm just talking about this because it's been in my head since watching the game and all that. It's doing my nutting, man. Listen to all this nonsense. Like, there was a bit with John Suter where he goes up to him and he grabs his body and all that, and it's like, but then John Suter was like, "Why are you just falling down?" As if he hadn't, just grabs his body and he lifts up his top and shows the red mark and all that, and you're thinking, why are players trying to, like? It just seems strange how they're trying to make Kyogo like the Celtic version of Morelos when they couldn't be more different. They're not the same. They're totally different kind of players. It's I don't know. It's the whole Celtic Rangers daftness in it. Even though, I mean, Celtic are right. Let's be fair. Celtic are always right. Right. Let's be fair. But there's Rangers fans listening to this and like, what the fuck are you talking about? Get me on this podcast. Get them to, like, this is the worry. I try not to talk about Celtic Rangers too much, because I'm biased, and I'll always be biased, and that's it. There's nothing you can do about it. Do you know what I mean? But I just wanted to cover that while I was on my mind, because the offside thing is doing my nothing, man. Especially, like, I was playing a game of Belgian football the other day, and we don't have any offside rule. Aye. So I get criticised sometimes for being like a poacher, just get it over, because it's like, just stay up. If there's no offside rule, you can just stay up. You know what I mean? There's 4 sides, so it's not like you can make an offside rule. And somebody came up to me and they were like, "If this had an offside rule, you'd never score. You'd never score a goal, because I'm just sitting next to the keeper for the whole time." And the guy came. One of the guys came, bashing like right into my chair because he just wanted to give me it because I've been posing. But that's the problem. You don't have an offside rule, but somebody's going to drive right into your chair. You know, we should actually get you in one of them, and we should get you in one of these chairs, see how you do. I think you'd be good at it, mate. I think you'd be class. I think Christopher Julian would be good at it at this point. I don't know who the fuck that guy is, but he'd be
out long enough,
he'd probably be better at Polish football now than he is at regular football at this point. What's happening with his legs and that? I don't know.
I think he's coming back. Is he not coming back this week or something?
They kept saying November, but it's December now, so I don't know what's happening.
They keep pushing it back, man. Aye.
We could have done with him about 6 months ago, man.
Aye.
But anyway, enough football talk. Right? See, not so long ago, during the summer, right, I did a podcast with Fit's Been Happening.
Fit's Been Happening, no.
And we talked about, we had this scenario about who, I think this was before we actually interacted, right? But Bean said, who do you think would win a fight between Paul Dock, Sean McDonald and Chris McQuarrie? And I think the actual consensus of the group was that you would win the fight. I think there was something about nunchucks or something like that. Something about
it's because of the nunchuck videos and whatnot, and the kicking videos. But yeah.
So you're like basically Karate Kid. That's what.
Pretty much.
Do you think you could take two of them?
Well, if you've seen Sean McDonald's Instagram and Twitter photos, he's a very ripped boy. You've seen him topless in Barcelona. He's built, man. I don't know. I wouldn't ever want to put it on. I was way both from the other day. I was out with Chris the other day, and I ran into Sean at that Elfin Grove ice skating around. I just seen Sean McDonald actually ice skating, gliding right past me on the ice, and I was like, that's Sean McDonald there. So I speeded up and I caught up with him, and then he stopped to the side, and then a few went right into him, almost crashed into him, kind of hang out ever. And then I was like, what's happening? But me and Sean had been nice, but Chris was there, but he'd refused to ice skate that day.
I don't ice skate, mate.
No. You're saying
wheels don't go well with it. I think I'm pretty sure one time I fell over on the ice on the chair trying to do it on the manual chair, and it just, my pal was steering me on, and it just tilted round. And since that day, I'm never going back on there, man. That's not for me.
It's dangerous, mate.
But I could just imagine you chasing Sean and like, Sean, here, I'm here. Can you see me? And he's like, he just get it because he's so
pushing kids at my way and all that, trying to catch up with Sean.
He's like, kiss me, Sean, kiss me. You know,
try to get him under the mistletoe, brother.
Exactly. That's what I'd be doing. Handsome boy,
lovely boy.
But speaking of, this was something I thought was funny when I was thinking about when I asked him that. That's all a very physical question, but I thought a better question for you would be kiss, marry, kill.
With me, Sean McDonald.
So
with myself.
No, with Sean, Chris, and Beans.
Oh.
Well, who gets what?
Come on, you can't put him in the spot like that, man. Can't put him in the spot like that.
I mean, I think for me, you got to. Well, personally, I don't know.
Actually, I would say I'll marry Chris because Chris is he's a lovely calm man. He does tons of interesting stuff, and he's very chill. So yeah. I could spend the rest of my life with Chris McQuarrie, definitely.
I have a feeling that Beans is getting killed here.
I feel like Beans is getting killed. I'm sorry, Beans, but if I have to kiss. If I get to kiss Sean McDonald, then I'm getting to kiss Sean McDonald.
I don't think there's many men that would say, that would deny that either. You know what I mean? I only float one way, but you can't deny the guy's a handsome guy. Except I've got a bit of beard and you've got a bit of mustache. So, speaking of mustaches, how did you even? I mean, see that for me, right, I've tried to grow a mustache before, and it's just like a wee terrible line. You see, you've got a proper full thing going.
You took the beard off the now, you know, about one, mate.
You think so?
You think so, aye, 100%.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, part of me, I actually thought it'd be really funny to do it for this. Just because I knew you.
Change your look for it, aye.
I mean, that would have been commitment to the cause, that, for doing a mustache for the podcast, but it would have been absolutely horrendous, mate. It would have looked like one of my eyebrows on my lips. I can't do it. And I don't have the facial structure for that. I need as much hair as I can get. You know what I mean, to cover up what's going on here. If I shaved off my hair, you would just see two big eyebrows. That's the issue. I've actually thought about going. every time I think about doing a Celtic power chair football team, right?
Mhm.
And anyone that doesn't know what a power chair is, it's a wheelchair that's like this. So like I can drive this chair basically. I mean, if you don't know what that is now, but listen to this podcast, then you've really not been paying attention. But just in case you're here for Paul Dock, I thought I would explain that. What was I even saying there? I was thinking about if I was to start a publisher football team for Celtic,
Mhm.
I would need to shave my head. Obviously, that's what you need to do. You need to just go hardcore, especially if there was a Celtic. Imagine the power if I just went and shaved my head the day before it and turned up bald. People would be like, he's going full Scott Brown for this. This is what I would do. But I would absolutely. I would get no matches on Tinder if I did that, mate. It's just not going to happen. Just not going to happen.
Actually, I was playing football up at Dundee, and I was playing for the uni up there for a while, and I turned up to a game, and I'd just shaved all my hair off. I'd shaved myself bald essentially, and I'd shaved in a big mustache. I don't think anyone had seen me like that before, so I turned up for this game like that, and I was wearing the hat in the warm up because I was like, that's probably a bad idea, man. Everyone's going to be like that. What the fuck? What the fuck's up with that guy, kind of thing. But I took it off when I started the game, man, and I was like on the wing, and I could hear all the people on my team being like, what the fuck? I did not fucking know that, man. Like, there was a mad English boy at the side who I could hear shouting. No, I could hear him. I ran past him and he was like, he looks like a fucking pedo. And I was like, all right. Big tash, bald head, pretty rough look, to be honest. I look like a PE teacher or something, man. Pretty
Well, from what I remember from Catholic schools, a lot of girls like the PE teachers, you know what I mean? So it's not I mean, but see, doing that look, it is risky, but I think you're one of the few people that could actually pull it off. Don't know what
Thank you.
There seems to be people that are into the kind of, I think because everyone had the same haircut, short back and size, comb over, exactly the same thing the two of us had today. Right? But like, I think when you do something different, or you get a mustache or you just shave everything off, girls are a bit like, there's somebody actually doing something different. My problem is that I can't camouflage a wheelchair, so if I could do that, I would get a lot more, man. It would make things a lot easier. But how many times have you done a podcast where you've been made to feel uncomfortable through wheelchair jokes?
Never. This has never happened before.
Never happened before. What actually? How did you actually hear about the podcast? Out of curiosity, like what? Because I remember when I first started doing it, I was like, I told Chris this as well. I was like, these guys like Chris and Paul Dock, and I was just looking at all the funny people on Twitter basically, and I was like, get these people on. But it's taken quite a while for me to get to that point. But I'm always curious as to how people that you actually discover the whole idea of it, because mine is a bit more niche than like Riley's gaff. We're not just sitting here getting fried, which is like, by the way, I've mentioned it a few times, but that is such a funny podcast, man. I mean, this is funny obviously, but that is really funny. Like they know what they're doing. It's like, especially that one where they done. I think they all just get high, and it was just pure funny to watch. So check that out if you've not. But
I was on it just there. Went on it just 2 days ago, so it should be coming out. It'll probably be by now. It'll be Sunday, I think it is Sunday.
This will probably be a couple of weeks after that. So hopefully, if people enjoy that, they'll come and watch this one. But no, the difference between their one and this one is you get to do a wheelie on a wheelchair, and that's totally, you can't really compete with that.
I get to do tricks outside afterwards.
Exactly, mate.
Nice.
You should just, what we should do? We should genuinely do a wee video where you're just on the chair driving that bit for a second. People would be like, "What the fuck's going on?" You just see me on the floor, there's like lying there, and everyone's like, "What's going on with that?" But no, that would be actually, we're going to do that. We should do that.
That's my payment for coming on, mate.
Exactly, that was the whole deal. I said, I DM'd you being like, if you come on the podcast, I'll give you the wheelchair, mate. What do you want? I'm like, I'll chop off my legs and give you them. But I got you here, and that's the main thing. But going back to the sketches you've been doing, there was the one that kind of that made me sort of discover you and went sort of viral, was that, was it People Make Glasgow or something? And it was, you were climbing up these, well, you were doing something I hate, which was climbing upstairs to the top of this building. And it was really funny, but I was wondering how that, like, what even made you come up with that idea, and what was the process of filming that was like.
So that was the one we done with the
The
Europe
Europe
brothers,
uh,
Sean and Ben, really funny boys. Recently, told everyone, told the world that they're the Bears house, Bears in the Big Blue House. Did you see that thing? Aye, that was
yeah.
really funny. But no, well, I knew them for ages. We've been pals for quite a while. We met up. I think it was just before. I think it was just before lockdown kicked in. We kind of met each other, went for some drinks, became quite good pals. But we had this kind of group chat where we were just talking all this like shite for ages. We talk about different ideas, kind of different daft things. But we were laughing about how like during COVID everyone was going mad about climbing the mountains. But it was kind of like turned into a kind of competitive thing, and everyone was posting the photos, and everyone was kind of acting as if like not to brag or whatever, but I'm saying like me and my brother and that have been doing it for ages. We were doing hill walking for years. We used to do it for quite a long time, and but there was all these people that were all kind of like, oh, everyone's just starting doing it now. Oh, fuck's sake, all these posers and all that. And everyone was getting, like, people that don't do it were all like, oh, everyone does the mountains now. Everyone does the Monroes and all that stuff. And you're like, just let people enjoy something. It's good. No, I mean, it's good fun. Getting out there.
Aye.
Why would you try and gatekeep that hanging, right? So we thought it was funny that. And we were like, why not with the, like, guys that are like, what about guys that are, like, obsessed with the high-rise flats and they're kind of like, dicks about it, like they're kind of like, oh, we've started this is our thing and all that, because you get like a lot of the folk that were doing it were mad guys that were just pure heavy acting that way about it, and you were like, what's the point?
Aye.
Let people do it.
It's such a like wee boy mentality in it, like especially when it's when you're climbing a mountain. You're not the first person to do that, and like you say, it's such a good thing for everyone to do. But I mean, from my perspective, it's I mean, I feel like throughout this whole process, I was like, I'm totally left out of this conversation. This is terrible. Like, somebody want to carry me in the back of them, like, use me as your backpack, just stick me in the back of your. I mean, it was like, I'll climb a mountain, but the I think the most I've climbed is like the hill, the Nolly, which was like where we used to go and drink when we were like 16. We crawl up this big giant hill, and then I would get to the top, get mad with it, and realise that I couldn't get back down because the wheelchair was at the bottom. So there's this moment in my life where I'm like, right, I need to get back down to the wheelchair because I had no other way doing it, but everyone else is too steaming to like lift me back down. So I just rolled down this big giant hill.
Did you say the Nolly?
Aye.
Where are you from?
Bishop Briggs?
Bishop Briggs? Oh no, there's a place in Clybank. It's called the Nolly and all. I was
Aye.
like, wait. I was like,
Aye, no, it's I think probably just same idea. It's just about all we know it is really. All it means is a big giant fuck off hill with a tree. That's all. That's all it is. It's nothing special, but no, that's the most I've climbed up in. But no, you're totally right. I don't understand why people make things because they do, especially in Scotland. It's like there's such a weird thing about liking what you like, and if you like it too much, it's like why do you like it that much? You know what I mean? It's don't put it in my face. And also, when you're doing something like climbing like that kind of thing, it's such a good thing for your mind, mentally and physically, to do something like that, to get outside, especially in lockdown. So, the idea of making fun of people being like almost as if they own the idea of climbing a mountain, which is in itself so absurd. But you took that and turned it into one of the funniest videos I've ever seen with these two guys. So,
cheers, man.
You'd mentioned that you're planning on doing another part to that.
Aye, it'll be out, I imagine, by now. I think the second part is coming, and it's got a wee feature for Paul Black. It's got Evan Riley's on it, Jamie Kelly's on it, our other pal Reese is on it. So it's the boys for the Riley's gaff, two of them are in it. And obviously the Ewers as well, plus it's filmed by our pal Connor Riley, who's not actually related to Evan though. Different he's a really good cameraman. He's been filming it all for us and editing and that, so he's great. Shout out Connor. But we're excited about that. We filmed tons of it. I think we filmed the original one in like one day, and then this one that we filmed have taken like 3 days, and we've split it over. We filmed a ton of different bits, so we were trying to like piece it all together because we filmed so much stuff, and we're like, how can we fit this into, like, get it onto Twitter, get it onto Instagram and all that kind of thing. So I think it's about 7 minutes maybe, but I think we'll maybe need to cut it into parts and see how it goes. But excited to see that properly. We'll get that out, I suppose.
No, I'm looking forward to that. Like, did you have to get permission to actually record in the building and all that? Because I felt like you were just doing it. Like when you're watching the first one, it felt as if you're just doing it off the cuff, and there'd probably be people walking in the halls being like, "Who the fuck are these guys videoing, climbing up these stairs? What's going on?"
It was guerrilla. It was pure like we were just like trying to get shots. Like at the time, everything had kind of eased a bit for the first one, and even for the next one, it's kind of been a bit more chill. But we didn't want to like. I personally didn't want to be like fucking around in too many places, being like getting people's way. I mean, I didn't want to be pissing people off because we did go up to, we went up to Paul Black, like Paul Black's flat. He was living in this place at the time. And we came up with a camera and we were literally jumping up to his flat to chat to him and see him anyway kind of thing, and we just wanted to shoot something on the wee bit out front of his kind of thing. But then there was like a janitor guy came out and was like, no filming here kind of thing. And we were like, no, we're jumping up to see our pal kind of thing. So we jumped up and we literally just shot something on the stairs outside his flat and then went and chatted to him anyway, and then filmed something just pretty much in his flat, essentially just at the front of the wee kind of balcony bit. But we didn't want to fuck around too much, but a lot of it has just been like going to locations saying we need to get this bit filmed, and then Sean and Ben are both really good at improving. Like they two can just pure bounce off each other, so they'll just come up to a bit and they'll be like, "How about we do this? How about we say this?" And we'll be like, just start filming them and see what they say kind of thing. But they're great.
So it seems like you all kind of work. You all have like different pieces of it. Like they can do the improv, and you've got the idea of the structure of what you're trying to do. So it's like you all have bits that you add into it, and it makes sense. But I don't think people realise how much time and effort actually goes into making something like that. Because you just see a video on Twitter and you think that's really funny, but you're actually having to get these people together. That's a great cast, by the way, I must say, of like people you've got in that video. So it should be a really good laugh. And I seen you made a Christmas. You made a Christmas.
A music video.
And I was like, surely this isn't real. I was scrolling down your Twitter, I'm like, this can't be real. Is it actually him doing that? How did that come about?
So that's my pal Dale. He's releasing a Christmas song, Lucifer's Christmas, I think it's called. He's been a pal for a while. Dale. He runs a book company as well. He publishes books, and he's just a really sound guy. He started doing kind of music stuff recently, and he got me to do the artwork for one of his. He released like a cassette kind of thing, and for his like first album or whatever kind of thing, and I done the artwork for it. Like I do illustration as well, so I made that, and then he asked me to be in the music video for his Christmas song. He's doing a Christmas song, so it's good fun. It's good fun to go along.
You seem to get yourself involved in a lot of different things. It must be kind of surreal that you've built this sort of following up to where you can just do things that you enjoy, and the actual just go out and make sketches and be in Christmas videos and stuff like that. Is there a part of you that's like, I can't believe, because I asked Chris McQuarrie the same sort of question. We were talking about how his podcast hasn't been released yet, but it will come out soon. Mm-hmm. But he was talking. I was talking to him about the fact that he built up most of the idea of becoming a writer and writing his book through putting things out on Twitter, and built up a following, and then that just sort of steamrolled from there. Mm-hmm. So his whole thing started from Twitter. So the actual what I was talking to him about was it must be kind of surreal to think to have when you tweet out something funny and you're realising like people are actually laughing at this, listening to what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. At what point did you realise, like, was there a joke or something, or a video that you put out when after you went, well, this is really getting a bit bigger than I thought it was going to get?
Yeah, well, I think there was a couple of videos I done. Like it kind of just went really, really quick at one point. Like there was a time where I was up in Dundee and I was doing all my uni stuff at the time, and I was just like, I was doing so much stuff at the one time. Like I was always out like playing football and doing my uni stuff and all that stuff that I didn't really think about it that much. Like I just kind of turned on my Twitter, posted something stupid, maybe had like 5 minutes, and I'd like make a video, and then I would just post it up on my Twitter, and then go off to uni or whatever. So I'd be doing stuff, and then I would open my phone up like an hour or 2 hours later or something, and it would have all these likes and shares, and I'd have all these follows. And I was like, I turned off the alerts on my phone for a while because it was just like sometimes I'd posted things and my phone would be buzzing so much, I'd just like fucking just turn that off now. And then it was quite crazy though. The big one was, I think I'd done a one that was like like a video Transformers robots or something like that. It was about a guy auditioning for being in the Transformers films, and then
I watched that. Yeah,
and then there was a couple of things like that really exploded. But I think the one that really got me was, I think there was a point where I had Kieran Tierney added us on Twitter, right? And I was like, fucking genuinely just like burst out laughing, like I was pure so buzzing with it. And I was like with my girlfriend at the time, and she was like doing work, and she was like, "What is it?" And she was like, "Is that Celtic voice follows you, hasn't he?" She pure, for some reason she pure guessed it right, and I was like pure laughing my head off. Like I was thinking it was so funny because I was like, "The fuck, man! Like this is mental. This is so good, man. This is the best thing." What a boy.
Yeah.
But that's the point of pure. I think that was one of the points of pure hit where I was like, "This is amazing. This is so fun. This is class." But
and well, that is the kind of thing that would take you, like having somebody like that, especially when it's all off your own back, and like, you love to see it with somebody that's just going for something, and you know, especially when the idea of being too out there and too kind of in your face, in our sort of culture is sort of frowned upon. So like you're just kind of saying, "Fuck it, I'm just going to be myself," and people have really taken to it, and you know, you totally deserve the credit for that because it takes a lot of balls to do that, mate.
Cheers, man.
Do you know what I mean?
It's been good fun, man. It's the thing you were saying even about like doing the things I want to do, man. Like I was doing illustration, and one of the things with that is like it's pure networking and building a platform and interacting with people and stuff as well. And I do know like a lot of people are really good illustrators that maybe just don't even don't have that much a platform, and they're amazing, they're really good. So I always kind of thought, I want to build a platform for this. And if you can build a platform through social media and stuff like that, then you can get your name out there and do stuff. It has, for me, changed into different things now, but as you're saying, I like meeting people, meeting interesting people. You were even saying about how I seen the podcast originally. It's like if I see somebody that's doing something that's different or cool or whatever, that I'm like, they're doing something, then I'll be like, see what they're up to. Nice to meet people and nice to do things with people and interact with different folk and see where things lead, really. But aye.
That's exactly the way you want to be though, because you've built this up and now you're going, how can I help other people do the same thing? Because you can see how difficult it is to actually make it into something like that, and there are a lot of people that need to sort of push to do that. Like even what you're saying, that I feel like my sort of thing with this is very niche in the sense of guests can be quite can be a bit like sometimes they can be a bit like scared to address the chair a wee bit. Not, I mean, not so much, they wouldn't say that, but you can tell, I've been in the chair my whole life. So I can tell when people are like, this is, I don't know. So it's like, when people come in and they're sort of, they're not sure whether to laugh at a wheelchair joke or not. you realise that you've changed the perception of what being in a wheelchair is.
Aye.
Really. Because you're saying to them that, look, the same way that you can slag off somebody for being specky, you can slag off me for being like, do you know what I mean? It's trying to normalise it and bring it into like what you would consider to be like regular part, I guess.
Aye.
You know, and not be like sort of in the corner of society hidden away. And so for you to have that perspective of seeing things like that and wanting to help people, it's definitely the way you should be, especially when you see a lot of people that have platforms that are big that don't do that kind of thing. You know what I mean? And so it's you know it comes from a good place when you're doing something like that, especially when you're doing it from the angle of being understanding where you came from and saying, how can I help make this into something for everyone else? And especially, you know, when everybody's on Twitter and social media and it became such a big thing, there's so many podcasts and so many creators and so many things that are doing amazing things that barely any people really know about at times. So, you know, even for me, it's like I get messages from people being like, "Can I come on your podcast?" And I've never spoke to them or heard in my life, but I'll say to them like, "Let's talk. Like, can I help you? Like, do you want me to share this thing, or like, is there something I can do to help you?" Like, I mean, I'm not anywhere near in terms of the following and stuff that I want to be at, but it's just mad when you see yourself go for kind of nothing and you build it up a bit and you build it up a bit more, and then people that you were DMing before that were passionate of replying to you being like, "Yeah, come on, mate," like you had Cypheria on, so come on, mate, don't worry about it. I'll be on next week. So, like, it was so weird. That was so strange for me, like having people as soon as I had them on, and obviously he's one of those guys that Paul actually, my producer Paul Shields said something really funny. It was like I don't know if it was him or Matt. It was like, Cypher could fart in a box and get 30,000 views for it. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's true. So he, after that podcast, it was just like everything sort of went for being a bit quiet to like everybody giving me about such and such and different opportunities open up. And there must have been like a bunch of different opportunities for you. I mean, you think about things that you've done and you've yet to do. Are there particular things in your mind where you go, I want to get to this point. I've got this goal where I want to do a sketch with this guy or this person. Are there things in your head that you have in mind?
Yeah, there is still tons of goals, like things I would like to be doing. Like there's people I still want to work with. I wanted to get I really wanted to do a thing with we were saying Foxy earlier on, man. I would like to do something with him. Like, that's just more of a thing that I just think he seems sound, he seems funny, man. It's just the fact that he's through in Edinburgh that we were kind of. I think I messaged him a while back, steaming, sent him a message saying, "Alright," or whatever. Love the videos and that, but there's folk like that, man, that I'd like to be doing stuff with as well. Because at the moment we're working, obviously I was saying, working with the York boys, I was working with Paul, like done some stuff with Paul Black and things like that as well. So there's a lot of interesting people I've met through it like that, but there's a lot of interesting people I've met that are like pretty big. Like I was saying, there's a guy, there's Davey Swatpaz, you know Davey Swatpaz who does the animation stuff.
Aye.
Like there's people like that who I've loved for ages and who I've got them on Twitter and stuff like that, and I'm like, oh, like, and I love what they do, and there's things like that you're like, you would love to reach their level of like, kind of, like, because you know the animation and stuff like that, and everyone knows his stuff, everyone knows what he done, kind of thing with that. But I don't know. I've still got a lot of goals or things I want to do. I want to kind of go back into like filming and making stuff again and get like a bit more of a. I think this high rise thing, we're hoping to use that as a thing to launch onto making more productions and making more film things. But it's just trying to get funding sometimes as well for these things. But
well, the bigger you get, the more you'll get, the more funding you'll get, I suppose.
Hopefully, aye.
I mean, it's all about the clout these days, isn't it? So, yeah, have you ever thought about doing stand-up comedy, like doing like a set like that?
I took a whack at it, and then I was meant to do. Like I've never been good at public speaking. I was used to be just terrible at it, like really bad, and really like anxious about things like that. But I done a thing in Dundee that was like this thing Pecha Kucha, but it's like you get to talk about a subject. So I done a thing of talking about like artwork and using social media as a platform to like build an audience for your art kind of thing. So I done this talk there that was in the Dundee Rep Theatre, and then after that I was like, I want to do more public speaking. So I done a stand-up thing in Dundee, Icebreaker. They do a lot of stuff in Dundee, they're really good. I don't think I was great on it. I don't think I really planned enough. I'm quite bad for doing last minute planning and writing stuff, and I just kind of cobbled it together. Wasn't really sure how to go, but obviously first time trying that kind of thing. And then I was also booked in to do Red Raw, but then obviously COVID hit and shut everything down. So, and it's just since I've just not really got around to looking at it again for a while. But I do know a lot of guys that do stand-up comedy. It's a completely different thing though, man. It's like, I mean, it's different from anything else. Like, it's pure yourself. Like, I can film stuff in front of a camera and no feel stressed, and I can come up with things or videos and that. And even guys I know that do stand-up comedy, they're like, you do the video stuff and that's different from what we do kind of thing. But And it is like, it is. And I mean, like, I really respect anyone that does that kind of stuff, because for me, I'm like, it's tough.
But you can, I mean, the thing is, you can do that like a video for a couple of minutes, and it can be something you've thought through and planned and like designed, and there's no pressure. There's nobody watching you. You just do it. But like you get on a stage and it's like people are going to watch that set, and you need to be funny. If you're not funny, especially. I mean, I've never actually been in a comedy club because none of them have wheelchair access, so they better get that together. But I mean, come on, what's happening, mate? I kind of get into a comedy show, but what if I wanted to do a set? You know what I mean? I've never actually seen. But anyway, that's me getting sidetracked. The point is that when you're doing, like, my pal Dan is a comedian, Dan Connell, is Pascal Squad and all that.
He's great, man. He's funny.
He talks about. He's told me before how much of a like buzz it is when you get it right, but how like devastating it is when you don't. So it's almost like it requires a different set. But the reason why I asked you that was because I think a lot of people see the videos you do and just sort of assume, you know, that stand up sort of the same thing as that, but it's not really. I mean, I've always thought if I was in a stand up set, the first thing I could say is that I've always wanted to be a stand up comedian, but I've never been good at the stand up bit. I thought that would be like a great opening joke. I think people would burst out. They would either burst out laughing at that, or you would just get crickets. And either way, it would dictate how it would go. I think if I got crickets, I would just be like, I'm done. I can't do this. That's what it takes. That's what it takes. A lot of like guts to be like, put yourself in front of a crowd and actually take that chance. But so going back to what you were saying about, I feel like I'm going from one point to the next. I'm trying to get
No, it's fine.
What's happening here? This is my problem as well, though. Like, I'm very people. The podcast are always writing out a bunch of questions and stuff like that, and I have topics, but I don't like the idea of writing out like 10 questions and try to stick to that with you and saying like, let's get them to talk about fucking Lewis Capaldi or something. Do you know what I mean? Or like something that's going to, you know, like try and pop a video or something like that. I think people are too focused on that rather than the actual conversation. But anyway, what was I saying? Going back,
another sidetrack.
You were talking about drawing and like artwork and stuff like that. So in terms of, we know what made you kind of start doing these videos, but where does the kind of love for artwork come from?
Both of my parents went to art school doing different things. My mum done more like a kind of craft stuff, so she makes like stained glass, mosaic kind of style stuff. And my dad done more like site planning kind of thing. But both of them have always been quite arty people. They've always kind of pushed it a wee bit. Not even to me as much. I felt like they were kind of like, I don't know, they didn't seem that bothered at me doing art when I was younger kind of thing. And everyone else in my family, I felt like I've got older brother and sister, like they were both much better than me at the time at doing art kind of stuff. But for me, I kind of find it's like quite a fun thing to like to play with tons of stuff, because I like making things. I like making things in different processes and stuff like that. An illustration might just sound like you're drawing something on paper, but a lot of it's like you can kind of do whatever you want. You can make models. You can like do like computer stuff, digital stuff, animated stuff. You can make stuff that's got like a real concept behind it, like a real idea, and then you can also just make daft stuff that just looks good, you know, that looks fun or something like that. Like there's for so much variety to play with and stuff like that, and like make things like, I know people that make pure big models and things like that, make paper mache stuff and just daft stuff that you're like, it's really cool. And I kind of like explored that a wee bit. I was at college for a while, and one of my lecturers had said to me about how it's not about like illustration isn't just about illustration, it's about like conveying a idea through a medium. So it can be anything, photograph, collage, or whatever kind of stuff. So that's kind of for me, like I like seeing all the varieties and all the ways you can do things, like, and how you can play with everything in life and do different like variety of things. Because I think I get bored, like I've got ADHD, right? So I feel like I just jump between all these different things. So I like to be able to be like play football, look at football stuff, do something related to that, make things like just a variety,
Yeah.
just like a broad variety of things. Just get like more and more options and all these kind of things. Because once you start to get all that kind of stuff and look into different channels and avenues as well, like I even went into a bit of like fashion textile stuff and product design stuff. I was quite into things like that just to see how that could be all combined so that you're not just doing the one thing. But it's just a good way to explore and open up options in life and find things to like find new ways to have fun and play with things, really, you know, like.
No, exactly. I mean, you're flexing that creative muscle as well. Like, you're obviously wanting to create a lot of things, and it's like you have this thing that you can use where you can go and just do anything you want to do with it, which is there's a lot of freedom in that. I think one of the things I take from what you said there as well is a lot of people, like, they kind of, what's the way of putting this? They sort of narrow themselves down to one thing in life. Like, I'm really good at this thing, and this is the only thing that I do, and I'm not going to do anything else. But you realise there's so many things there's so many interesting things you can try. Why not at least try it? You don't always need to be the most amazing person at the thing, but you can still enjoy doing it. And I think there's this sort of idea of, I'm not going to do that unless I'm like really, really good at it, when you can just enjoy doing it, even if it's not the best thing ever. You just enjoy it. Like, there's so many things you can do, and that seems like what you're doing is you're just going to do the things you're enjoying, and they've all actually at a really kind of high level. Like, I mean, I wish there was any sort of semblance of that creativity in my family. We are very much, I'm very much like straight and narrow. Like, I focus on one thing, and I kind of get obsessed with it. So like, but I'm trying to I think talking to people like you helps me sort of try and explore my own thought process, and trying to look at different things and things that I could maybe enjoy that I've never, because I always had a bad feeling about drawing, for example, because in high school they were very what's the word, ableist, I guess would be the word to use for that, because they didn't think I could do anything. It was you're not going to believe this, right? I was in a class and they had somebody draw for me in art. So like, they had a woman.
What the fuck?
Literally,
really?
There was a woman that they would sit her next to me, and she would literally just take the pencil in my hand and draw for me, and I'm just sitting in the art class watching her draw, and they would say, the teacher would say, "Show us your drawing," and I would say, "Look, my drawing," and she'd be like, "That's amazing." I wasn't even going to do that.
That's insane.
Like, I don't think people understand the amount of like how much that kind of fucks your like opinion of your own ability level, if that makes sense. You're like, I kind of, if I've got somebody drawing for me now, what am I doing with my life? You know, it just makes you question all of it.
Wait, so what year did you? When were you in school then? Like, what years? Like,
well, I think I get held back 1 year, and when I was in like going from like, I think it was just going from nursery to primary. I'm pretty sure, because they weren't sure whether they put me in a mainstream school or like for lack of a better way of putting it, a special school. Even though I despise when people call people with disabilities special, just because it's the most condescending thing ever. It's like going up to somebody that's small and be like, "Oh, you know what I mean? Like, you look so cute," or something like that. Like, shut up! But why you call me special? You know what I mean? Like, I think I don't understand why. See, when they call it the Special Olympics, I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about, man? Get that out of my face for that. But anyway, no, so from there, once they realised that I was going to go to mainstream school, I left it like 5th year, but I was going to stay till 6th, but I ended up leaving like halfway through it, because I was like, I got to a boiling point where there was a day when I just snapped at everybody. I just snapped at all the teachers, and I was like, take your, like, it all just built up to me, and I got to the point where I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. They just made me feel like I was so like unable to do it. Like, the thing is, right, I can't walk, right, it's not actually, but it shouldn't be as big a deal as what it is. Is the point I make, because people look at you and they assume you can't do other things, and that's where the whole stigma of it comes about. That's why I started the podcast. That's why it's called All About Ability, because I felt like for most of my life and most people with disabilities lives, they get focused on things that they can't do rather than the things that they can do. And there was this notion that even the most basic things like drawing an art or going to the cross, like going to out for lunch at school time. It was like we need somebody. They were like, we need somebody to come with you.
Monitor
One of the
and
things,
stuff, aye.
and I was like, here, you need to fuck off. I can't do this. Like, people wonder why in first and second year I had no pals, but it was like I'd be sitting at lunch and like the teacher person would come sit next to you, and nobody wants to hang out with the guy who's sitting next to the teacher. You know what I mean?
Aye.
So you need to change all this thing. All these things are, and it's good to talk about these things with somebody like you as well, because I know that new people will tune in and they will listen to it, and there's a lot of things that have gone on in the world, especially in the past year or so, that have shown that disabled people are very much, they're just not viewed as a very important part of society. You know what I mean? It's sad because this is something where I'm trying to push against that, but you realise when you look at the whole scale of it, how much of a problem there is, because half of the stuff isn't even getting discussed. Do you know what I mean? It's like 60% of the people that have died from this pandemic have had some sort of disability.
Aye.
And it's because you've got people saying, you know, we're all special up until we need your help in the pandemic, and now we're asking you to lock down. But it's like this idea of, we don't need to do that because we'll be fine. Yeah, but it's not about you. I feel like I've said this in 3 or 4 podcasts because I keep seeing shit and I'm just like, what are you talking about? Like, why are you saying this? I don't understand how you don't understand where people are coming from when they're saying this. It's not because there's not enough. I think what happens to a lot of people with disabilities is you get very much. It's always such a big fucking fight for everything.
Yeah.
Like anything that I've had in life has been through like a fight to get it. Even this chair I had to go through like all sorts of mad things for them to give me this chair. And eventually you just get to a point, most people do, where you just go, I can't do this anymore. I can't do this fight, like having to fight for this thing anymore. It's too much. There's too many things to fight for, and you just kind of burn out. And I think that's how the system in the world is sort of designed, because it burns out people. You know what I mean? And that's why I feel so strongly about it. Is that I'm like, I've as much as it's very frustrating at times, I'm like pure refusing to burn out, because that's what it's designed to do. Do you know what I mean? If the system must not win, you know what I mean, Paul? We need to do something with this. Like, had you ever kind of interacted with anyone with a disability, or is this like the first time that you've really kind of spoken about this kind of stuff? Just out of curiosity.
I've not done any kind of podcast or anything about it, but no, yeah, I've not really done like a podcast or sat down and had like a kind of thing like this.
Just in like everyday life, have you ever like spoke to anyone with a disability before, like, or has it just been like is this like the first time that you've met somebody like in a wheelchair, for example? No. Like
in school and stuff, there was like guys with wheelchairs and things as well, but like it's not been something it's not been something I've sat down and had a proper conversation about, I suppose. The thing even you were saying about with the school thing though, like I was thinking about that recently, kind of thing. Like I was thinking about how the thing we like schools or whatever. Like I went to school back in maybe like 2000s or something, like mid 2000s kind of thing, through to about 2010 kind of thing. And even back then, like schools were so bad about that kind of stuff. Because as you were saying there, it seems as if like I felt like I went to Clydebank High, which was, you know, out in Clydebank or whatever, and it wasn't a pure too well funded. It was quite the old school or whatever kind of thing. And it just seemed as if they lumped everyone in together. They kind of just said, all right, there's somebody that's in a wheelchair, and then stick everyone in a class regardless of, without actually really evaluating each person kind of thing, which was kind of a thing. Like sometimes I think back in those things and I'm a bit like, schools didn't like make an effort or like have any clue or any kind of education on how to deal with like to deal with each person individually really at that point kind of thing. But it's quite mental to think how even that was like maybe back in 2000 and maybe 2004, 2010, and there was still that kind of thing going on or whatever, where you're like, that's mental to think about, because nowadays I can't imagine it would be as big or whatever. Like, we kind of moved into a new school by 2010, and it seemed as if they updated everything and they were quite more progressive kind of thing at the time. But I'm still thinking like back in like 2005, 2006 and stuff like that. Like, I mean,
yeah, because there's so many additional sort of needs that don't get discussed. But I think the reason why that happens is because people with disabilities don't get like asked or consulted as to what they need, and there's people. It doesn't make any sense to me that people without disabilities are trying to decide what people with disabilities need without. But if you just asked the question, you would know. Like, you're talking about how by that year there was a new school and stuff like that. Actually, when I went to high school, I totally forget what year it was, but I'm pretty sure it was past that. It was definitely past that. It was definitely past that. Like I was more the next decade, and they had just made a new school. They had made a whole new building, Tumble High it was, and it was a brand new building, and they had, had me in before they opened it and all that. And I remember going around it and just being like, this is absolutely horrendous. Like, I can't believe who's designed this building, because the doors were like really heavy. They were really heavy doors, and then the toilets. They had all these different disabled toilets, right? But there was only one that I could really use, because the ones that were like up on the other floors, they were too small. Yeah. So like you couldn't fit the wheelchair in. If I can't fit the wheelchair in, I can't go for a piss. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I just couldn't believe how much it's like you just have a wee room, put a couple of bars on it, and have these big giant. It's not. I think there's like this notion of get enough space in the hallways, make the toilet look as if it's not about actually making it accessible. It's just about making it look like it might be an idea of what you're looking for. Yeah. Rather than just saying something. Why don't we bring somebody in that's in a wheelchair and ask them this question? Ask them these questions. What do you need here to actually make this work? Because I can use a bar in that, but there's a lot of people in wheelchairs that they wouldn't be able to use a bars and stuff next to the toilet, and it makes no difference whether you put a bar next to the sink. Because if I can't move, it doesn't matter. Do you know what I mean? There needs to be more regular hoists, bigger toilets and things like that. It's just things that aren't really spoke about. I mean, that's not even necessarily what I need. But if you're looking at making something for everybody, and we're at a point now where we can do that, why are we not doing that? It should definitely be something that we make it a priority. And I'm getting in a bit of rant about this, so I didn't even intend to go. What's like the weirdest message you've got?
Oh god, how fucking weird messages are like.
I can't imagine what your DMs are like, mate.
Well, a while back I would get some really mental ones. Like, nowadays it's a bit more chill. I do get some odd ones. A boy sent me a picture after one of the Celtic games. I was in Grace's, and a boy just sent me a picture of me in Grace's from across the bar, but it was like zoomed right in. So it's just me standing with a pint, like absolutely steaming. I could barely even remember. Like, I could remember just being in there having a couple of pints after one of the games. I think it was a Lazio game or something maybe, but I was kind of just like, alright, that's weird. Like, the time I was having a bit of pure like there's a couple of things like that. Like, I was having a bit of pure social anxiety at the time and things like that, man. Just not really enjoying being out places and things, and I think. But I've got a lot of weird messages. I probably couldn't put down the weirdest of them.
No, I'll take that. That's kind of like when you go past a lassie that you know and you don't talk to her, and you go back to her house and you DM her and be like, "Hi, I seen you." But past yeah. And I've done that more than once. I'm not ashamed to say it, but hopefully now I'd have the confidence to say hi.
And not take a photo of the person and then send it to them later on.
No, but listen, Bo, I really enjoyed having you on, and I appreciate you making the time. This has been something that I've been looking forward to a long time, and I think that people will take a lot from it, hopefully, and I'll be keeping an eye on what you're doing in the future. If I get Foxy in, I'll give you a message. Let him know when he comes.
Give me a shout. Get me on this couch with him, man.
That would be fun. We should slip him like an edible or something, see what happens. Do you know what I mean? Put in this brownie, folks, take this brownie. That'd be funny.
I'm never eating anything when I come in here, man. If you're going to trick us with that, thank God you've warned us, man.
Catch in the bag. No, but cheers, Paul. I'll see you again soon, mate.
No, thanks for having us on, mate. Aye, hopefully be back on soon.
You will be. I'm sure.
Cool.
Sorted.